Let's review shlokas 178 and 179 in Lalitha Sahasranam. suvāsinyarchana prītā aaśobhanā śuddha mānasā bindu tarpaṇa santuśhṭā pūrvajā tripurāmbikā daśamudrā samārādhyā tripurāśrīvaśaṅkarī GYNānamudrā GYnānagamyā GYnānaGYeya svarūpiṇī. Let's take a look at the meanings of the namas in these shlokas. Suvāsinyarchana prītā is the first nama. Suvāsiṇī archana prītā. Suvāsiṇī is a woman who's happily married. And in this context, Suvāsiṇī is Devi herself who's happily married to Shiva. Archana means worship and prītā means fond of. So there are also people, sadhakas, who through their worship attain Shiva. It's called as Shiva Jnanam. So in that they are considered to be married to Shiva. So through worship they become married to Shiva, and Devi is fond of those who through their worship have become married to Shiva, or they are the yogins, or the sadhakas that have attained liberation. So suvāsinyarchana prītā means she is fond of those who are married to Shiva. A very simple meaning can be Suvāsiṇī is a married woman, and there are lots of pujas that are performed for married women, so she is fond of those pujas. Or you can also interpret it as she is fond of the puja performed by Suvāsinis. All of those can be interpretations of this nama. aaśobhanā is the next nama. aaśobhanā, shobhanā means beautiful, radiant. aaśobhanā means ever radiant, most beautiful. Śuddha mānasā, śuddham means pure, mānasā means mind. So śuddha mānasā means pure-minded. Bindu tarpaṇa santuśhṭā. Bindu is the topmost point in the Sri Chakra. Tarpanam means offering or oblation. Santuśhṭā means satisfied or content. So bindu tarpaṇa santuśhṭā means she is satisfied by the offerings to the bindu. So if you look at the Sri Chakra practice, doing puja to the Sri Chakra is a part of that particular practice. So when they do Sri Chakra puja, they will offer milk, ghee, honey and all on top of the bindu. So at the very plain meaning can be she is content by those offerings. But if you go one level deeper, bindu in Sanskrit means a dot, a drop or dot. So a dot means it's a focus point, right? So when we offer her our focused attention, she is pleased by that. So bindu tarpaṇa santuśhṭā means one who is pleased by our focused attention. And the entire goal in the Sri Chakra practice is to attain that bindu. That's the intent of the sadhaka. And if you look at that bindu we call it as a union of Shiva and Shakti. And at that point she is sarvavastha vivarjita. So she is devoid of all the states. So all human beings are always having three states, right? We have the waking state, we have the dreaming state, and we have the deep sleep state. So this bindu is one where none of these states exist, and through that the sadhaka attains bliss. So it is that experience that's important, and that can only be done through intense focus and attention towards these practices and towards Devi. So she is pleased when we provide that level of intense focus on her. Pūrvajā. Pūrvajā means one who is firstborn, and she is the very first emanation of that ultimate reality. And it was there always, but that is the first emanation. So she is the firstborn or ancestor of everything in this universe. Tripurāmbikā. One way to look at it is tripurāmbikā. So the tripuram represents the three states. It could be the waking state, dreaming state, and sleep state. Or it could be the infancy, youth and old age. So these three states apply to everything, and she is the Ambika means mother. She is the mother of all these states, the Triputi. Or the Triputi can also be thought of as experiencer, experienced, and the process of experiencing, and she is the mother of all of these. Tripurāmbikā is also the presiding deity of the 8th avarana of Sri Chakra, which is called as Trikona. So that is the experiencer, experienced, and the process of experiencing. Daśamudrā samārādhyā. Daśamudrā samārādhyā. Dasha means 10, mudra means symbols, gestures, and samārādhyā means worshipped by. So she is worshipped by the 10 symbols. When they do the Sri Chakra Puja, for each avarana, there is a mudra that is applicable. And that mudra is a special connection between the sadhaka and the presiding deity of that particular avarana, where the energy accordingly is influenced. And so she is worshipped through these 10 symbols. And obviously, these are all kept very secret because it has to be used appropriately, and when used it could transfer the energy, and as long as the sadhaka knows how to handle that energy, then it is appropriate to use it. That's why it's always correct to learn it from someone who knows how to use it and who can also help control how that whole process goes. Tripurāśrīvaśaṅkarī is the next nama. Tripurāśrī is the presiding deity of the 5th avarana of the Sri Chakra. It is called as Sarvartha Sadhaka Chakra. Vasaṅkarī means one who rules. So she is the ruler of Tripurāśrī. This 5th avarana is called as Sarvartha Sadhaka Chakra. Sarva Artha Sadhaka Chakra. Artham means all the material desires. And Sarva Artha Sadhaka means in that all the desires are fulfilled. So what it really means is, in the sadhana, the sadhaka has come up to a point where they are able to have control over how they think and act. And when a person is able to have control over how they think and act, and that's not in the very material context, all of us have a certain level of control over how we think and act, but this is in the spiritual context, when they are able to control their mind and therefore control their response to the world, then they get to a point where they no longer have desires, because they have naturally aligned all their will towards what Devi wants. They are able to let go and move forward, and actually reaching that bindu, the stateless state, is not something that is done with effort and by holding on. In fact, to get to the bindu, we have to just let go and surrender, and that has to be something that's effortless. You should not even try to hold some portion of it, no effort on your part, and that's a very hard state to reach to. But in that particular avarana, the sadhaka is able to get to that, and she makes sure that the sadhaka is able to then progress towards the rest. The next nama here is GYNānamudrā. Jnanam means knowledge, mudra means symbol. So she is the symbol of knowledge. And we all know there is also a GYnānamudrā called Chin Mudra, and that is the mudra through which Dakshinamurti imparted knowledge. So she is also that Chin Mudra. Another way to look at it is Jnana Mudra can be split as Mudam Rati. Mudam means delight or happiness. Rati means brings. So, Jnana Mudam Rati. So, through knowledge, she brings bliss. So, she's capable of bestowing that bliss. GYnānagamyā. Jnanam means knowledge. Gamya means attained. So, she's someone who's attained through knowledge. GYnānaGYeya svarūpiṇī. Jnana means knowledge. Gyeya means knowing. And she is the embodiment of knowledge and knowing. With that, we have looked at all the namas in these two shlokas. Let's look at a story related to the nama GYnānamudrā. So, GYnānamudrā means the symbol of knowledge, and we generally consider Saraswati as the symbol of knowledge. So, once upon a time, there was a rishi called Kola Maharishi. And Kola Maharishi wanted to do his penance, and therefore he wanted to look for a place where he will be free from distraction. So he traveled far and wide, and he came near a mountain called Kodachadri, And there, deep in the forest, he found this serene place. There was this beautiful mountain, there was the pastures, a very clear river next to it. Seemed like the perfect place to do the penance. And therefore, Kola Maharishi stayed there and he did his penance. And he was continuing to pray, and his penance was so intense that all the three gods, the Trimurtis, were pleased with him. So, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva all appeared before him. And then Brahma told Kola Maharishi, open your eyes, all three of us have come here. And then Vishnu said, we are very pleased by your penance, so ask for some boon. And Kola Maharishi opened his eyes and saw the Trimurtis there. And there was nothing more he wanted in life, right? He just wanted to do the penance to see that, and this is a great blessing. And then he said, I've seen you three, there is nothing more for me to ask. And then Vishnu said, no, ask something, what is it that we can do for you? Then Kola Maharishi thought about it and he said, I don't want something for myself. I don't need anything more. But I want to request that for the welfare of the world, all three of you, please stay here forever. And whoever comes and prays to you, please bless them with whatever they desire. So immediately Shiva was there and Shiva said, Tatastu. And Shiva was very happy with the selfless gesture of Kola Maharishi. And he said, we three will stay here. And not just that, Devi will also come and stay here. So I'm very pleased with your selfless gesture. So Devi will also come and stay here. And then this entire place will be known by your name. So then immediately all the Trimurtis became a Jyotirlinga, and then they were in that particular place. And the place came to be known as Kollur. And Kola Maharishi was very happy and he was continuing to do all the pujas and penance for this Jyotirlingam. While this was happening, now the Asuras continued to live, and things were not going very great for them, but they were okay, they were able to live. And they were always looking for someone to come and take all the power from all the devas. And at that time, the Asura king had a baby, and a son was born to him, and he named him Kaumasura. The baby was called as Kaumasura. And they were all looking at, this is the person who's going to come and take over the world, because Asuras are always about taking over things from devas. And the boy, slowly the boy was growing up, and they realized that though being born as Asura, this boy was not very strong. So physically he was weak. So now this Asura king is very worried. A weak king is of no use, right? Usually everybody will take over. So he doesn't know what to do, and he's worrying every single day. At that time, Sukracharya, who is the Asura guru, asked the king, what is bothering you? Why do you look worried all the time? And then he said, look, Kaumasura, no matter how much we train him, he seems very weak. How can he become a king and rule? Then Sukracharya said, that's your problem. Don't worry, I will take care of it. You leave the boy to me. So then Sukracharya took Kaumasura and then he taught him the Brahma mantra. And he said, you have to pray towards Brahma and keep doing it. And when Brahma appears, you ask for immortality. So then this boy learned the Brahma mantra and he was very sincere about it, and he continued to pray. And he was going on chanting this mantra, and time was passing, and now the boy has become a youth. There are anthills growing around him, but he never gave up the chanting of that mantra. And then Brahma saw this, and Brahma was very pleased. So Brahma appeared before him and said, what is it that you want, Kaumasura? And immediately he remembered, his guru told him, ask for immortality. So he said, Brahma, please grant me immortality. And then Brahma said, no, that is not possible. If you want to change your boon in a slightly different way, then I can give you, but I cannot grant immortality to anybody. So immediately Kaumasura said, oh, if that's the case, then I should not be killed by any deva, I should not be killed by any asura, I should not be killed by any gandharva, I should not be killed by any man, whether he is a king or he is a beggar, he is wise or he is foolish. No man can kill me, no yaksha can kill me, no rakshasa can kill me. So he went on putting all these clauses, and once he stopped, Brahma was totally fine with granting that. He said, okay, fine. So, in listing all of this, Kaumasura did not talk about any women in that. So, he did not include that. In those days, women were not in the battle, so he did not think about it. So then, once he got the boon from Brahma, Kaumasura was very happy, and he went back to his kingdom. And on the way, he saw a princess being abducted by a yaksha, and so he fought with the yaksha, and he saved that princess, and her name is Chandraprabha, and he fell in love with her, and so he married her. So he went back to his kingdom, and father was very happy. The king was very happy seeing that his son has been successful and has gotten all this immunity from so many things, and therefore promptly he crowned Kaumasura as the king, passed over all the knowledge, told him what to do, what not to do, etc. And then also Chandraprabha stayed with him as the queen. Now Kaumasura has become the king. Obviously, as an asura, devas are their enemies, and therefore, as soon as Kaumasura became the king, he said nobody can do any yajnas in his kingdom. So the yajnas are the way where, the devas are responsible for the working of the universe. So they give us rain, we get the sunshine, we get the water, we get all the fertility of the soil, etc. And then in return, we do this yajnas to thank them, and through that yajna, they get more power. So this is a cycle that will keep going on. And so when yajnas are stopped, then the devas won't get their power. So first he said, let's stop all the yajnas. After that, he said, nobody can worship any god, so stop all the worship. And now when all these yajnas are stopped, the worship has stopped, etc., then dharma was severely affected. Dharma was increasing, injustice was increasing. People are just able to, act according to their whims and fancies. And even Kaumasura himself became a king like that, and he became a tyrant. Now, Chandraprabha was looking at it, and she still remembers that youth who came to save her, who was a good man. He had just come from a penance, that radiance was there. So she is like very concerned about the change that she's seeing in Kaumasura, and she somehow wants to bring him back to the right path. And so she reaches out to Kaumasura and she says, I really have a deep wish, but I don't know whether you will do it for me. And then Kaumasura said, you know what, there is nothing that I won't do for you. Tell me what it is, I will definitely do it. And she said, I want to have a temple to worship. Kaumasura was a bit shocked because he is now said to everybody, nobody can worship, no god, nothing. Now his own wife is asking for a temple, but he had already given word that he will do it, and therefore he called all his ministers and he said, go somewhere far away and find a place where I can build a temple as per my wife's request. He does not want other people to know that he himself is building a temple. So he said, go somewhere. Now all these ministers and soldiers are coming to see where is it that they can build this temple, and they happen to come to the same place where Kola Maharishi was doing the penance. So that's the Kollur. So they came here, and now they want to take this place for building the temple. They want to get everybody to move away from this place, etc. So they are committing unspeakable atrocities, and they're torturing everybody so that they will give up this place and they can build the temple. So now Kola Maharishi is feeling very bad, and so he is trying to see who can come to help. And Kola Maharishi already knew that Kaumasura has this immunity, no male can do anything to him. So then he was thinking maybe then Devi is the only recourse, and therefore Kola Maharishi starts to pray towards Devi, and hoping that Devi will come and help. And Sukracharya comes to know that Kola Maharishi is doing this penance towards Devi, particularly to address the Kaumasura's situation. And so immediately Sukracharya goes to Kaumasura and he says, you know what, I think those people are all praying to Devi, and you do not have immunity from Devi. So this time you do the penance towards Shiva and ask him to grant you immunity from Devi. That's the only way. Otherwise, if Devi blesses them, then it will come, you will be killed. So immediately Kaumasura starts a penance again. Now he's praying towards Shiva. When Kaumasura is doing the penance towards Shiva, the Devas are all now worried. So Devi has not answered Kola Maharishi yet. In the meantime, Kaumasura is doing intense penance towards Shiva, and Shiva is completely just. If the prayer requires, if the prayer is correctly done and the penance is correctly done, he will give results. He will not think about whether it's Deva or Asura or anything. So he's completely impartial. So now these Devas are all very worried and they don't know what to do, and they are thinking already he's a tyrant. If he gets this boon from Shiva, then there will be no stopping him. So they don't know what to do, and they're all praying towards Devi. At that time, Saraswati appears before them and she says, "Don't worry, I will take care of it." So now Kaumasura has done this penance and Shiva is pleased, and Shiva is appearing in front of him. And now it's time for Kaumasura to ask, "Give me immunity from Devi as well. Nobody can kill me." That's what he is supposed to ask. But at the moment he opens his mouth, Saraswati robs him of his speech and sound. So that means he's not able to say anything. And so Shiva is asking, "What boon do you want?" But Kaumasura is not able to speak. And therefore he just keeps quiet. And then Shiva just blesses him and says, all prosperity to you. And Shiva leaves. And from that time he came to be called as Mukasura because he could not speak. So he is Mukasura, and Mukasura now finds out that it was Devas asking Saraswati for help, and Saraswati robbed him of his speech. So he's very, very angry with the Devas, and therefore he becomes really bad and he's torturing everybody. And at that time, Devi responds to Kola Maharishi and she says, "Don't worry, I will take care of Mukasura." And then Mukasura goes back to his kingdom, and he's told by one of his soldiers that there is a lady who's waiting in the battlefield to fight with you. So then Sukracharya says, "This is the Devi herself who has come to kill you. It is not too late. Just fall at her feet and ask her for forgiveness for what you have done. Then she will, she is also very compassionate, so she will let you go, but do not go fight with her." But Mukasura was very angry. He felt like all this penance and everything, he was robbed of speech. So he's angry and he wants to take that out, and he does not listen to Sukracharya. And so he goes to the battlefield, and then there is a war between Devi and Mukasura. Finally, Devi is able to subdue Mukasura, and then she puts his leg on him and then she kills him. The moment Devi's leg fell on Mukasura, he immediately realized all the wrong things that he did, and he also used to be one who did all the penance and everything. So he completely realizes how he has gone in the wrong path, and Devi herself had to come and put an end to that injustice. So then he prays to Devi and he says, "Devi, I'm very sorry. What I did was very wrong, but I always want to be associated with you. So in some way, I want to be connected to you." And therefore Devi says, "I will definitely do that." And therefore Devi comes to be called as Mukambika. Because she killed Mukasura, she is called as Mukambika, and that way Mukasura is always joined with Devi. And then Devi goes into that Jyotirlingam that Kola Maharishi had requested for Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva to be there. And today also in Kollur, there is a lingam, and there is a Swarna Rekha, a golden line that goes through that lingam. It's considered that one side of that golden line is the Trimurti, and the other side of the golden line is the Tridevi. So that's how Kollur Mukambika came to be. And many years passed after that, and then Adi Shankaracharya was going through the entire India, and at that time he came near this Kodachadri mountain, and he felt the presence of Devi there. Therefore he went to the peak of the mountain, and then he was meditating upon Devi, and Mukambika came in front of him. And once Adi Shankaracharya saw Mukambika, he was so happy, and he told her, "There is no goddess Saraswati temple in Kerala, and therefore I want to install you in Kerala, and therefore everybody can pray to you and they can get knowledge." So then Mukambika agreed, and she said, "Okay, fine, I'll come with you. But only one condition. You go in the front, I will come behind you. but you have to believe that I will come behind you. If you ever turn back and look at me, then I will stop. Wherever you turned and looked at me, I will stop there. So Adi Shankaracharya agreed to that condition, and so they started walking down. And just as they came near this lingam that was installed by, the Kola Maharishi asked for that lingam. When they came there, until then Adi Shankaracharya was walking and knowing that Devi will come. But she is also Mukambika, so she can become really silent. And suddenly, there was no sign of Devi following him, and Adi Shankaracharya was a bit confused. And so he turned and looked, and it so happened to be the place where this Jyotirlingam was there. And therefore, Mukambika stopped there. And even today, you can see that the idol of Mukambika was installed by Adi Shankaracharya. It has Shankam and Chakram, and she is like that, and she looks like Mahalakshmi, and she is actually goddess Saraswati. And today lots of people do Vidyarambam in Mukambika temple. So then Adi Shankaracharya felt very bad. He wanted to take her to Kerala. So then Devi said, I'm supposed to be in this place, and that was a divine intent, but I don't want to disappoint you either. So every day morning I will appear in Chotanikara, and then afterwards I'll take the all the puja and offerings in this particular place. So it is believed that in the morning, goddess Saraswati is in Chotanikara, and then every day she comes back to Kollur. So Kollur is in Karnataka. So this is the story of Kollur Mukambika, and Kollur Mukambika is one who, there is a Mukambika Ashtakam as well, and anyone who worships to Mukambika, she grants them Jnanam and Vidya. That's all for today.